You train for weeks, months even, sometimes even a year. You decide whether or not you're ready for the promotion, the next belt in your system, to level up, to be told you are now at this rank. Have you earned it already? Or do you earn it on the day? Should we be testing students for belts, or should they just be promoted? Hi, I'm Sensei Stolpitz with Hybrid Defense, and today I want to talk a little bit about belt promotions and how they work, at least in our school, and how they may work in other schools. I was recently not featured on a podcast, but I was brought up on a podcast discussing this very topic because of the way that I run my program, and I was kind of underhandedly called a McDojo for our way of doing things. So I figured I'd go to the internet, as you do, and find out what you guys think is the best way to run this, and maybe even just how it happens at other schools. So, in our school, when students are ready to test, they will come to a Monday class, same regular class time, and we will test them as a group. And if a student is not able to perform the required material, then they may retest throughout the week and they get multiple chances. And if by Friday they've got it, then they will earn their belt at the graduation on Friday. However, if they do not have the material down and they're not able to perform it properly within that testing week, then they will not get their belt on that Friday. We would consider that a fail for the test. I was called out on this podcast, the Mizuchi Dojo podcast, for anybody who wants to look them up on Spotify, that this is McDojo material because I am knocking down my students and I am trying to build up my own ego by failing them. And if that's your opinion, I think you're lying to your students by calling it a belt test. Because all of these schools will say, oh yeah, we have belt testing this day, belt testing is this week, belt testing is at this time. And if you have belt testing and no one is allowed to fail, then you're not really doing a test. You're doing a promotion ceremony, which is fine. I'm totally cool with that. But that's how you should talk to your students about it. You should say, hey, promotion is this week. You have to know all your stuff before promotion week. That makes sense to me. But when you say we have a belt testing class and no one's allowed to fail, so we don't knock them down or try to build up our own egos, you are deceiving your students. Because what if they don't know it? What if they're not ready? What if they're not prepared for that next belt and they haven't gained the skills that you wanted them to gain within that period of time? If you still give them the promotion, you're doing a couple things. One, you're lying to your student, you're building a false sense of confidence in them. Or two, the alternative is you are telling everyone else, you don't have to try here. Just show up and you'll get your belts. Now, I don't like to throw the term McDojo around very often, but that sounds a little bit more McDojo-y to me, to just be handing belts out regardless of whether or not they did well that testing day. It was also said on the podcast that, well, sometimes, that you saw them do it really well over the last few weeks. You know they can do it, but on this day they just messed up. They had a bad day. That's fine. Give them another chance to test. That's why we give you guys the week to take that test. If in the moment where they need these self-defense skills, they cannot produce them, then they're not ready. That's all there is to it. That's the kind of the point of doing testing, is to put them under a high stress situation and see the skills that I gave you, are they going to come out when you need them, when you're stressed, when you're having a bad day, having a bad time, and then the worst thing happens. That's kind of the idea of testing. Well, at least these are my opinions. I want to know what your guys' opinions are. So you can leave a comment below, link to other schools with their promotion ceremonies and their testing styles. Let me know if I'm in the right, if I'm in the wrong. And I hope Mizuchi Dojo podcast can hear this and they can throw back at me a little bit about how I'm a McDojo. All right, team, be safe out there and have fun.